My name is Michael, and like many Americans, I grew up thinking that Italian food was just pasta, pizza, and garlic bread. I thought I knew everything about eating well, until I booked a one-way ticket to Rome for a month of exploration. I arrived with an empty stomach and a wallet full of euros, ready to indulge in the dolce vita lifestyle. I imagined myself sitting in sunny piazzas, ordering whatever I wanted whenever I wanted it, living like a king. But I quickly learned that in Italy, food is not just fuel. It is a religion with strict, unbreakable commandments. If you break these rules, you don't just get bad service. You get looked at with genuine pity and confusion. My first mistake happened on my very first morning. Right in the shadow of the Pantheon, I walked into a busy cafe, confident and smiling, unaware that I was about to commit a culinary crime that would silence the entire room and mark me as a clueless tourist instantly. It was 11:30 in the morning, and the sun was already beating down on the cobblestones. I walked up to the marble counter adjusting my shirt, watching the barista work with the intense focus of a surgeon. I leaned against the bar and confidently ordered a large cappuccino to go with my pastry. The barista stopped cold, his hand hovering over the machine, and looked at the clock, then stared right at me. He didn't smile. He shook his head slowly, looking at me like I had just asked to put ketchup on a fine steak. "No cappuccino," he said deeply, pointing to the time. "It is after 11. I let out a nervous laugh, thinking he was messing with me, but his expression was dead serious. In Italy, milk is considered a heavy meal, not a beverage. Drinking a cup of hot dairy on a full stomach after 11 o'clock is seen as a digestive disaster, a rookie mistake that only a foreigner would be foolish enough to make. I knocked back the espresso standing at the bar, trying to look cool like the locals, feeling the sharp kick of caffeine and the sting of embarrassment. I realize coffee here is tactical, a quick shot of fuel to keep you moving, not a giant bucket of sugary milk to nurse for an hour. But my education was just getting started. A few days later, I landed in Naples, the gritty, chaotic birthplace of pizza. I sat at a beat-up wooden table, surrounded by the intense smell of wood smoke and fresh basil. I scanned the menu looking for my usual American favorite. I waved the waiter over, a stern old guy with a stained apron and zero patience, and asked if I could get a pizza with pineapple. The silence at the table was heavy. He looked at me with genuine disappointment, like I had just insulted his family honor. He simply closed his notebook, whispered a flat "impossible," and walked away without looking back. I realized asking for pineapple in Naples isn't just a taste preference, it's a direct violation of history. Pizza here is practically protected by law, meant to be a simple, serious balance of acidic tomatoes and creamy mozzarella. Throwing sweet, wet fruit on top destroys the mechanics of the dish, and no self-respecting chef would let that leave his kitchen. I settled for a classic margarita, and when it hit the table, it was a revelation. It was soupy in the middle, charred black on the crust, and you had to eat it with a knife and fork. No pre-sliced cardboard triangles here. You cut your own path through the dough. I ate it slowly, realizing American pizza is built for convenience and gluttony, while this was built for flavor and texture. It was a humbling check to my ego, forcing me to admit that centuries of tradition usually exist for a damn good reason. Feeling confident after my pizza lesson, I tried a seafood dinner in a town near the Amalfi Coast. The place was perched on a cliff looking out over the dark water. I ordered spaghetti alle vongole, pasta with clams, garlic, and white wine. When the steaming plate arrived, I instinctively reached for the Parmesan cheese shaker on the table. Before my hand even touched the glass, the waiter appeared out of nowhere, his hand actually blocking mine. "No cheese," he said firmly, shaking his head like a disappointed father. "Not on fish," I froze, confused as hell. In the States, we bury everything in cheese. But here, the strong, salty punch of aged cheese is considered a crime against the fresh taste of the seafood. He actually took the shaker away from the table to remove the temptation, leaving me to taste the ocean exactly as nature intended it. The rules kept coming, relentless and specific, governing every single bite. I learned you never cut spaghetti with a knife, you twirl it against the plate, and you definitely don't use a spoon to help. Using a spoon is for toddlers, and cutting the noodles is seen as bad luck or just lazy manners. I learned that bread isn't an appetizer to stuff your face with. It's a tool, a scarpetta, used at the end to mop up the sauce. And I learned about the obsession with digestione. Italians talk about digestion constantly. They believe ice-cold water shocks the stomach, so water is served cool, never freezing. They believe you have to walk after a meal to help the process, which explains why the streets are packed with people strolling late at night. Eating isn't just about intake here. It's about how your body handles the fuel afterward. One night, I tried to order a latte after dinner, thinking it would be a smooth way to wind down. The waiter brought me a tall glass of cold white milk. I stared at it confused until I realized latte is just the Italian word for milk. If you want coffee, you have to say cafe latte. I drank the milk in silence, feeling like a total child, while the locals knocked back shots of espresso or glasses of amaro, a bitter herbal liqueur designed to settle the stomach. It was another check on my arrogance, proving that assuming English terms work everywhere leads to stupid mistakes. I also learned there is no such thing as Alfredo sauce. Ask for fettuccine Alfredo and they look at you blankly. That heavy cream sauce is an American invention. Here, cream is rarely used. The texture comes from pasta water and cheese emulsion. The biggest shock hit me when the bill arrived. In America, I was used to doing mental math for a 20% tip while my friends waited. Here I left a thick stack of euros on the table, feeling generous. The waiter actually caught me at the door and tried to hand it back, thinking I forgot my change. I explained it was for him, and he looked uncomfortable. In Italy, service is included or covered by the Coperto, a small table charge. Tipping isn't expected, and flashing a huge amount can actually look arrogant. It changes the dynamic from a respectful transaction between equals to a flashy display of wealth. I learned to just round up the bill or leave a coin for coffee, treating the staff with basic respect and a polite grazie, instead of trying to buy their favor with cash. It was a refreshing, honest change. As the weeks rolled on, I quit fighting the system and decided to play by their rules. I stopped begging for substitutions and quit inhaling my food like a vacuum. I finally understood the Coperto charge wasn't a tourist scam. It was literally rent for the real estate. It meant I owned that chair for 3 hours even if I only bought one cheap coffee. In the States, tables are profit centers to be flipped every 40 minutes. Here, the table is yours until you decide to leave. The waiter ignores you not because he's lazy, but because he's giving you space. You actually have to hunt him down for the check because dropping the bill uninvited is seen as an insult, like kicking a guest out of your living room. That mindset shift changed the game. I wasn't just fueling up anymore. I was actually hanging out, free from the pressure of a ticking clock. I began to understand that these food rules weren't just laws to annoy tourists. They were boundaries created to preserve a quality of life. The rule about no cappuccino after 11 isn't about control. It's about listening to your body. No cheese on fish isn't snobbery, it's about respecting the ingredient. Not rushing the bill isn't laziness, it's valuing human connection over profit. I found myself slowing down, actually tasting the difference in olive oils and digesting my food properly for the first time in years. I lost the urge to snack constantly because the meals were actually satisfying. I stopped walking while eating, a cardinal sin here, and learned to sit, breathe, and appreciate the moment. The chaos of my American habits, eating in cars, giant portions, endless modifications, began to feel stressful and unnecessary compared to this structured simplicity. By my final night in Rome, I didn't feel like a tourist anymore, even if I still looked like one. I ordered a simple pasta carbonara, egg, pecorino, guanciale, pepper, no cream, no peas, and an espresso for dessert. The waiter nodded, recognizing that I finally understood the rhythm. I sat back watching the piazza fill with people on their evening passeggiata. I realized Italy hadn't just taught me how to eat. It taught me how to live. The rules were simply a map to a healthier existence. I paid my bill, left a single euro coin on the table, and walked out into the cool night air. I didn't need a cappuccino. I didn't need a to-go cup. I was full, I was happy, and for the first time in my life, I wasn't in a rush to get anywhere else. I was exactly where I was supposed to be. If this made you think, it did its job. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.